Hi there. Welcome to Platform Live, and thank you for joining us, the community station for Toronto. And we have with us today a champion. He's a champion in so many regards. He has championed efforts to achieve protection legislation while working for an environmental organization. He has initiated Green Grid project for renewable energy generators at St. Paul's School Trustee. He worked with financial literacy curriculum. He worked for homework policy reforms. I mean, probably a person can go through three spheres of life: as a child, as a youth, and as a senior. He has worked with all these spheres. He has worked with the expansion of local parks for the children community. He has worked for affordable childcare, or for the youth, he has worked with youth violence, and for the seniors, as I was saying, he worked for an age-friendly city for the seniors. So altogether, it's quite a versatile personality that we have today with us. And let me welcome Josh Matlow, counselor, to be with us in the studio. Josh Matlow. Hi, Josh.
Hello. Hi. Pleasure to be with you.
Great, Josh. Thank you so very much for being a part of this initiative and accepting our invitation and be here with us.
My pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks, Josh. As I was saying, you're such a versatile personality. The first obvious question that I have: how could you be so versatile? I mean, having touching so many areas. I mean, even if I say from a community leadership perspective, you have touched upon, as I said, all the spheres of a person's life. Work with the child care, with the children community, work with youth violence, for the youth, and you're also working and have continued to work with the seniors. I mean, how could it all happen? Was it planned, or it just came up? Or, I mean, how could it this versatility has come up with?
Oh my gosh. My well, thank you. That's a very warm introduction. Um, I think my parents would attest to the fact that even when I was a little kid, I wasn't a passive person. I would engage in conversations at the dinner table with my family about the different issues happening around the world, locally, here at home. And I think by nature always thought about, rather than assuming that other people will do something about it, whatever that it was, if I cared about something, I wanted to know how I could be involved. And I encourage young people to do that today too, whether it be the environment or social justice or local issues in their community or how to plan their neighborhoods, to just get involved and be part of that conversation. And try to, as my mom would say, leave everywhere you go better than you found it. So it's always been my nature. I think my family definitely encouraged that. And so I never dreamt about being in politics, but definitely now that I am, my friends and family would easily tease me and say it's not a shock that you went in this direction because I actually have a job now where I get to wake up every morning and go try to save the world and try to help people. And it's not altruistic. It's very fulfilling too because I am able to interact with people every day. It can be frustrating. It can be difficult. It can be sometimes uphill battles. But I get to interact with the community where I'm raising my own daughter, right, along with my wife, and we get to think about how to leave this place better than we found it, and it's very rewarding.
And my salute, my all sincere appreciation to the mother who really taught such a wonderful sentence to make life better, lives better, and the place where you live better. Please send my regards. I mean, and my appreciation. And of course, I must say it's a verse. It's a verse that might probably come out from a person who has got division in him or her, and that has been so successfully transcended to a person who again carries a vision like you, Josh.
By the way, we all influence each other, whether it be our families, whether it be our friendships, people we work with, and we can all decide how we are going to impact each other. And one of the reasons why my resume looks so diverse is because when you do represent a community, there's no, even if you think one issue is the biggest issue, there's going to be 1,000 other people who have different opinions about what impacts their life the most.
Absolutely.
And your job is to reflect all of that and to represent all of that
Right.
and really try to improve on those challenges.
And you're so true that, understanding people's perspective is so important, because everybody has their own priorities, own troubles, own way of looking at things. And a successful leader will always be able to comprehend, however you say, from a universal point of view.
Yes.
Great, Josh. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm already amazed to continue the conversation and the versatility that you already have. So, throwing light to the current context. We have moved to a completely new era, as
Yes.
people say, new normal. Somebody says now normal. So the context has changed. So, as a community leader, as a community person, with your active involvement, how would you expect the community to respond to this new context?
When in early March, even before the NBA stopped and the world went sideways, I had to go into self-isolation because I had come in close contact with somebody who had been tested positive for COVID-19. So I had to go and live in my basement for 2 weeks. And our kids were still in school and life was somewhat normal, although changing quickly. And I recognized that the first thing that I should do, along with the rest of us, is seek out credible sources of information to be able to inform us about how to relate to the quickly evolving new reality, and how to do it well, and how to do it safely, and how to, again, back to what we said earlier, impact others well. So the first thing I did was try to amplify the advice of our public health experts, not pretend to be a doctor, not pretend to be an expert, not to even voice my personal opinions so much as to amplify credible sources of information, because I also knew that a lot of people would be going to the dark places in the internet and finding things that may not be true, or telling them all sorts of things that wouldn't be helpful to them or their neighbors. So I think it's really important for all of us, as many opinions as we have and conclusions that we've arrived at, to really seek out credible sources of information, because at the end of the day, then we make more informed decisions. And when we're receiving information about washing our hands, keeping a physical distance, and wearing a mask when that's impossible. And I would add, come from a place of kindness as members of a community. Check in on vulnerable neighbors who might need you to help with some grocery shopping, or seniors who might be isolated and lonely, or whomever it might be. Beating COVID is going to be a personal responsibility for us all, but it won't be done unless it's a collective effort. So my best advice to us all is understand that even when life seems like it's frozen, because this is an unprecedented moment in time, life continues. Yeah. Our relationships with the people we love and the people around us continue. The memories continue to happen. And this is our life. And so, don't stop. It's just different, and we have to adapt to that. And then meanwhile, each of us have got to think about how we're going to meet this moment. And if we contribute to each other and support each other and love each other and do everything we have been informed to do to contribute to beating this disease, then not only will we get through this together, literally, but the journey from here to there will be a lot better for us all.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way of looking at it and reacting to the situation. I mean, taking from what you have said, we have seen people, as you said, going to internet and fetching data and trying to be a doctor and a specialist and thought leader about this coronavirus since the beginning, and that has, to be honest, to a large extent, in many different communities around the world, has complicated the issue. Rather than what you did for us is like echoing what the masters said. I mean, the top medical officers. Yeah, that's what the right beginning was. Terrific, great. And I'm sure that everybody is affected, like the community that you are in, I am in, is affected. And how much do you think it has affected and continue to affect? I mean, the best guess that you could probably have.
It's affected us in all sorts of ways. I mean, I have no doubt that it has been traumatic for all of us. Some people. I talk to a lot of people every day, and I hear everybody's got a story, and everybody's going through different degrees of challenges. Some just stressed, others tragic. Whether they've lost somebody they love, whether they've lost their business. Other people just are having trouble figuring out what to do with their kids while they're working. But I mean, I'm one of those. but ultimately, there's also some positives. I think more and more we are recognizing how interdependent we are locally and internationally, that everything that we do has an effect on each other. And that can lead towards recognizing that there are issues, whether it be mental health. Before the pandemic, we'd often, I think part of our culture, along with the handshakes, were to say a quick, hey, how you doing? Fine. How are you? Fine. Now I think there's more of an allowance to say, you know what, this is tough. This is really tough. And we leave that room. We're talking about racism and the effect that it has on each other in our society and the roles that we need to play to be able to finally address systemic racism in our society, and housing and food insecurity, and the recognition of our natural spaces and the fact that we want to be in them now more than ever. I mean, there's just so much that I think that we can really learn from this and hopefully build a normal after this that might even be better than the one that we had before that didn't include a lot of us and may not have been as responsible as it should have been.
True, that just as you said, that every cloud has a silver lining. I mean, everything has a good part of it, and Corona or COVID-19 has taught us a lot of things. And the nature has really gone back to its own beauty. You have less air pollution, and people have gone back to my hairstyle kind of a thing because the barbershop is closed and all. So we are all having a different look. And feel, of course, we're learning new things. And it's a huge learning curve. And probably, if we look at it from a little different perspective, an occasion that comes once in a century really has enough potential to learn, and it's quite a learning curve for
Well,
individuals.
I think it forces us to reflect. When you're moving so quickly, and when I tell this to my 7-year-old, when you're a grown up, life moves pretty quickly. And you don't often take that moment to step back and look at your life from the third person perspective and evaluate, are you happy? Are you not happy? Are you healthy? Are you doing the right things? And I think all of us have had to kind of just literally lock down and take a look at our whole society and wonder, are there things that we can improve on?
Absolutely.
Including how we treat, elder abuse in our long-term care homes, significantly.
So it has got quite a bit of dimensions, to reflect onto, from personal life to community issues to whatnot in a society. Well, let's look at a couple of other things. As we were talking, started the discussion, the diversity that you have, the works that you have done for all the spheres, the child, the youth, the seniors. As a whole, from a very community perspective, what do you think are the topmost priorities for a livable community? I mean, to you, very, very much from your own perspective, what do you think are the main ingredients, the priorities that one should have as a livable community?
Well, I would say this in normal times as I would say this during a pandemic. We shouldn't just be building places where we have a bunch of buildings. We need to be building communities. We need to ensure that we have access to affordable childcare and parks and playgrounds, which hopefully will reopen completely soon.
Yeah.
And services for seniors and abilities to live at home if you're older, but also if you are in long-term care, a genuinely caring place that is safe and supportive of you. And building a community that is affordable and respectful and caring for us all and accessible to us all. I also believe that we're hearing voices clearly that are telling us that they have not been included, including many members of our Black and Indigenous communities who are asking for changes to ensure that when we talk about getting through this together, we really mean together in a way that we haven't done before. And I think we need to hear that and make those changes. And ultimately, community is about supporting each other, caring about each other, and sort of it's the Amish village idea that we all come together when we're down to support each other, and we boost each other up and celebrate together too. And there's a lot, I mean, we could go on at length about what that means, but I think if we always focus on that, not divide each other, but come together and really support each other, then we get through things, whether it be challenges locally or a global pandemic, and we care for each other and we help each other out.
Yeah, because it's a special situation, special occasion where we need to come out together to fight it out or sort things out and sail through the bad patch. You're so right.
Well, and by the way, this pandemic proves that. I mean, when I talk about being interdependent, it's one thing to say support each other and take care of each other. That's lovely rhetoric.
Yeah.
Now we're being told by doctors exactly what that means in this context.
Yeah.
If you love each other, even though your inclination would be to come close, stay 6 feet apart. Wear your mask, especially when you can't physically distance. Wash your hands. These are real ways that we can demonstrate to each other that we are going to care for each other. And if we do that, if all of us do this, then we can create the normal that we want again. But unfortunately, if we don't do this together, then we're going to be stuck in a situation that could keep going.
Absolutely. And as you rightly said, there are many, many areas that, we should be working out together to kind of make the whole place more livable, particularly in this spatial location, time, or whatever pandemic as we call it. But as the community leader, what do you think would be the topmost priority as in a community act that you would love to undertake in this situation? I mean, what would be the topmost priority for you, or is the topmost priority?
Along with everything else that I listed, I would like to see us make sure that we are checking in on each other. There are a lot of people who, we talked a lot about being isolated, like I was for 2 weeks, like all of us have had to be in various ways. In normal times, there are people who are isolated and disenfranchised in our society that we need to bring in and support and love and make sure that they are included. I also encourage all of us to look around at the small businesses that have struggled so hard to remain alive, and shop local, support our local Main Street businesses, so that those lives don't fall apart economically, and also that we contribute to the well-being of our neighborhoods so that we keep our main streets alive. And ultimately, make sure that we all support efforts through public policy to just build up our communities, as I alluded to earlier, in a way that that really makes our new normal better than it was before. And that list is longer than the time we have.
Right. Right. And, as you talk about business, and as I was mentioning that I was going through probably an article somewhere where they're saying that the new normal term has to be rephrased now, and kind of we have to say now normal because we need to get into the normal life, get the economy rolling and all. But, just to get an idea from you, many states, many countries are reopening, and also they're having to see an adverse effect of this reopening as well, because the second wave is kind of tends to hit, even if that doesn't hit. So how do you look at this thing? I mean, this reopening, and what should we be careful about the whole thing? Because we can't be closed, as you said, life goes on and we have to go on, the business must reopen. So what should be your thoughts on that?
I believe that we have to adapt to our changing reality, but not force the reality that we want on it just because of the discomfort that we have through something that by nature is not comfortable. It's a pandemic, and it's not meant to be easy. It's a health crisis. So I know that there are some jurisdictions in the world that have put perhaps the political whims or the political pressure before listening to their public health experts' advice. I don't believe we're doing that, certainly not in Ontario. Um, I believe that our provincial government and our city government, certainly imperfectly, but mostly has been following public health experts' advice and really trying to reopen in an incremental, phased approach that recognizes that we're moving through a very, quickly moving reality. And there is also a possibility that even as we go from phase one to phase two to phase three, that we might have to pull back to phase two or phase one or even lockdown, depending on how the next wave manifests. To my knowledge, there's never been a pandemic in human history that hasn't had a second wave.
Mhm.
How we deal with that and how our society and our economy adapts to it will be based again by our personal and collective behavior.
Right.
If the fewer people that put on masks when they go to the supermarket may mean the more difficult time we will have with that second wave and how difficult it will be to address it. The more of us who are responsible to our own families and to each other, most likely the better prepared we will be. And then, of course, we are counting on our governments to learn from other jurisdictions that have done perhaps better than we have with respect to screening, contact tracing, testing, and more, to be able to learn from those models and quickly adapt here in Ontario.
Yeah, true that the government is to whatever extent putting their best effort to put it into phases and incrementally, as you rightly said, reopening things, and we see that we have been responsible, sensible enough so far because the spike is no more there to that extent. The cases have lowered down a lot, and I must say that we can take a bit of pride of maintaining those health issues and the directions that the government have given, and as a whole society. We have responded roughly quite well because that's how we get to see things around. So that's my reading that but then again, as you rightly said, it has to be a collective effort. Not only the government can impose or give directions and get successful, but also as a citizen, as a community, individuals, organizations, we must have to respond responsibly, if I'm not wrong.
By the way, I agree with you. And, I personally, every time I see the lights on in the shops and people, coming together more and more, it fills me with hope and happiness for them, happiness for my own family. It is just, we want to be able to hug each other again one day. We want the world we loved back. But I also recognize that the quickest way to get that is to do all the right things to achieve that. And even though I know that, society is done with the pandemic may not be done with us. And, it's gonna be a little longer until we get to where we need to get to. But again, sometimes the slower you go, the faster you'll get there. And I believe this is a case where we have to do everything responsibly.
Yeah, Josh, thanks a lot. Thank you so very much for your kind time.
My
Please
pleasure.
send my regards to your family, Melissa and Molly, that sometimes
Thank
maybe will, as you say, we love to meet each other. I'm sure the time will come very soon when we'll all come together, say hi, hello to each other and spend some good time together. And as I said, that your time is so precious, and we are also from this Triangle Toronto or Platform Toronto trying to bring in thought leaders like you to know and get enlightened as well. Um, it works both ways. I mean, for us, with viewers who watch it, and they will watch. So maybe we'll reach out to you once again to reflect on couple more issues, if not community, but to learn so many things from diverse personalities like you. Josh, thank you so very much for being with us,
you.
and please wish us luck so that we can move ahead with whatever we're trying to do, single little bit for the community, and that's it.
I wish you and your family all of my love and my best wishes and good health. And I've encouraged everybody I talk to just try to come from a place of kindness. You clearly do that, and your questions were thoughtful and very kind, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
George, thank you once again. Thank you so very much. And let's hope for the best. And maybe very soon we will have a face-to-face talk. And that's the hope that we live with.
Even a coffee from 6 feet away. I would love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh, once again. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.